Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara and today we're going to be going over who you guys might experience betrayal from and the area of life where this might potentially take place based on the house you guys have Scorpio in. Now, the thing is, obviously Scorpio can mean many different things. I actually do have a video on Scorpio going through the houses. I will link it down below if you guys want more information as to what Scorpio through the houses can potentially mean. But for today's video, we're just going to look at who could potentially betray you guys, or the area of life where this might take place. Now, also keep in mind, this might not play out for everybody, so there's no need to be in a fear-based energy and now constantly thinking about this and worrying about this. If that is your tendency, then just click off this video now, okay? This is just for general information and just something to keep in mind. I mean, maybe you guys have already experienced this and now you will know why. Also, this video is going to resonate for Pluto going through the houses as well. So Scorpio in the first house could resonate for, let's say, Pluto in the first house as well. And also another thing that I wanted to mention is that if you guys are looking in the Placidus tropical system, you might have something called an interception taking place. So you guys could potentially have Scorpio occupying two houses. It could take place in this way. Or you could also have Scorpio intercepted where you don't technically have Scorpio occupying a house. So in this case, you'd have to look at the preceding energy, which is Libra. What house is Libra in? That means Scorpio is in that same house intercepted. So for example, if you guys have Libra occupying the fourth house, that means Scorpio is in the fourth house intercepted. At any time you guys have an interception taking place, at least to me, this draws my attention to the energy even more because this energy is now swallowed up in your chart. It's hidden, it's operating behind the scenes. You guys might suppress it. It could go into an excess. So that's the way that I see interceptions. I also have a video on interceptions as well. I will link that in the description box below as well, so you guys can look into this yourselves and learn a little bit more if this is something that is taking place in your natal charts. Also, another thing I want to mention is that you guys always want to take a look at the entire natal chart. What else is going on in the chart? What are the aspects and the overall amalgamation of all of the energies in the chart to get the overall story as to what is taking place. So today's video is just a general video. So let's go ahead and jump into it, starting with Scorpio in the first house. Also, this could resonate for those of you who have Pluto occupying the first house as well. So what could be the individual that could potentially betray you guys in this case? Well, it is the first house. I mean, the first house is the house of the self. So maybe there's something here in terms of betraying the self. Now, what could this mean? I mean, it could be something as simple as you guys tell yourselves you're going to go to the gym and then you don't go to the gym, you do something else. You could potentially betray the self in this way. So overall, with Scorpio in the first house, it can very much deal with self-betrayal. It's going to be the area of the self overall. So anything to do with maybe even the way you guys present yourselves, your personality, all these things. Maybe there's something here about really coming into your truth and into your authenticity and kind of staying true to yourselves and not betraying yourselves in any of these ways. I mean, anytime we tell ourselves we're going to do something and then we don't do that thing, in one way, shape, or form, we are betraying ourselves. So that's the way this energy can manifest for Scorpio in the first house. So for those of you who have Scorpio occupying the second house or Pluto in the second house, the area of life where you guys may quote unquote experience this betrayal could be the area of personal finances. It could be the area of self-worth even. It could be the area of material things, material items. So for example, this could manifest, let's say, into a financial advisor, quote unquote, betraying you guys. Maybe they give you the wrong information, or maybe somebody's financial advice ends up being a betrayal, or maybe you guys work with someone where you're maybe, combining finances or something of the sort. They could potentially be a betrayal that takes place in this area. Now, obviously, this isn't going to manifest for everybody. I'm just kind of giving a general idea here as to how this energy can manifest. And of course, it can manifest many different ways. So these are just a few of the ways that this energy can manifest. Now, there could even be some sort of betrayal here when it comes to the self, the self-worth, the self-love. I mean, anytime, you guys say you want to do something and maybe you don't do that thing, you are in one way, shape, or form betraying yourselves. Or especially if we look at it in terms of self-worth, maybe there's something that you guys always said to yourselves that you guys wouldn't do. And let's say there is somebody that comes into your life and now you guys compromise that part of the self or the other person. There is your betrayal connected to self-worth. So it could manifest in this way as well. It could be toward the self too. So these are a few ways that this energy can manifest for those of you who have Scorpio or Pluto occupying the second house. If you have Scorpio or Pluto occupying the third house, the area of life where you guys may experience betrayal could be connected to your siblings. It could be connected to your cousins. It could be connected to even your friends as well. Maybe there's something here to do even with the mind because it is the third house, or even communication as well. Maybe there's something where it's like you guys once said that you're never going to say something, and then you guys end up saying that thing or something of this sort. I'm kind of giving you guys random ideas here as to how this energy can manifest. Obviously, it's not going to be for everybody. And again, it depends on the rest of the energies in your natal charts to see how this could play out. But this is the overall idea here. It could even be, let's say, the mind here too. So like, especially if it's in the shadow of Scorpio and you guys have Scorpio in the third house, it could really go into extreme paranoia or fear, something that's not really rooted in what could be happening, let's say, in this realm. It could be some sort of maybe trauma or wounding that took place, and you guys are maybe constantly worrying about this thing taking place, and then it's like the energy could potentially betray you, like it doesn't end up actually panning out, especially because the Scorpionic energy is already super psychic. If there is any sort of wounding or anything connected to the lower chakras, the perception in certain situations could be skewed because it is coming from the lower three chakras or the wounding or the soft spots even. So keep this in mind. So it could literally be betrayal through the mind, or maybe you guys get an idea of something and then it's like rooted in some sort of fear. So it could be this, or like I mentioned, it could be siblings, cousins, and friends. These could be the individuals where you guys may experience betrayal. So these are a few things that can take place for those of you who have Scorpio occupying the third house, or even Pluto in the third house as well. If you have Scorpio occupying the fourth house or Pluto in the fourth house, the area where you guys may experience betrayal could be through the home. It could be through the mother specifically, or again, that dominant feminine role in your life. It could be through feminines in your life, so people who operate out of that feminine energy. It could also be your feelings or your emotions. So similar to what I was saying to the Scorpio in the third house energy, a lot of the time the Scorpio energy is associated with paranoia, and that's because they are psychically inclined, so they're energetically open to be psychic, but the quote-unquote paranoia usually comes from some sort of lower wounding that is connected to the lower three chakras. So for example, it could be the fear of abandonment, it could be some sort of scarcity, it could be something to do with intimacy even, or like the fear of being betrayed in a situation. That's how this energy could sometimes go into paranoia, because it's like it's rooted in a fear that there is. So a lot of the time Scorpio picks up on something that might be off, but it's like if they are operating out of their lower wounding, they might project the fear onto what it is that they are picking up. I hope that makes sense, because usually if you guys have some sort of psychic insight or gut feeling or intuition that something is off, that's probably accurate. It's just that, again, if you guys aren't integrated in terms of the shadow of the self, the fears and all these things, let's say you guys don't have the awareness that this is taking place, you guys might project that onto the situation. So I hope that that makes sense in terms of how the emotions in this particular case could betray you guys. So for example, I'll give you guys a random example. I'm not saying this is going to happen to anybody. This is just an example that probably most people can understand. So let's say you guys are dating someone and maybe that person, for example, wanted to surprise you guys. So they started acting in different types of ways or trying to be more hidden or secretive. Maybe you guys have a deep-rooted fear, let's say of abandonment or being cheated on or being left. You guys might project that onto the person now. Do you see what I mean? How you could go into the shadow of the intuition and then manifest into paranoia, like the fear-based version of intuition. So it's like the feeling is accurate. You guys are picking up on something that's off because this person is, trying to surprise you guys, but it's like because of the fear you guys might have that is connected to past trauma or situations, you project that onto the situation. So I hope that that makes sense. So that's how, let's say, your own feelings and your own emotions could potentially betray you guys. I mean, I talk about this all the time. It's all about coming out of the lower three chakras and releasing the lower wounding to come into the heart space and then go into the upper chakras, so you guys can be more grounded in your psychic insight, because again, the energy here is super psychic. So that's how this can manifest. And like I mentioned, the people that could betray you guys could be the home, the mother, the feminines in your life, the dominant feminine figure in your life. Any of these individuals you may experience some sort of betrayal from. Again, it might not be everybody, but that is the overall idea here. So these are a few ways this energy can manifest for those of you who have Scorpio or Pluto occupying the fourth house. If you have Scorpio or Pluto occupying the fifth house, the individual or the area where you guys may experience betrayal in could be through, let's say, love, dating, and relationships. So maybe it's going to be someone you guys are dating. You guys could potentially experience some sort of betrayal from this person or in this area for the Scorpio in the fifth house energy. Now, it could also deal with, let's say, the creativity aspect of things. So maybe some sort of creative teacher, maybe it's like an improv teacher. I find the fifth house can be teachers in general. Maybe it is something to do with, like, let's say you guys take a creative class. Maybe it's through this individual. I mean, sometimes the betrayal could also be, let's say, like self-betrayal. So for example, maybe you guys want to be creative. Maybe you guys want to put your ideas out there, but then you guys betray yourselves. Do you see how it can manifest in this way as well? I find that self-betrayal comes from you guys say you're going to do something and then you don't do that thing and then you betray yourself, okay? So it could be in the realm of creativity, so it can manifest in this way. And of course, you know, the fifth house can deal with children or the inner child. So it could be your own children. Maybe you guys experience some sort of betrayal from these individuals. I mean, we'd have to actually sit down and explore and think about what does betrayal truly mean. Now, in terms of the inner child, maybe there's, let's say, some sort of inner child wounding that is taking place here, okay, because it is that fifth house energy. So maybe there's something here where you guys betray yourselves. Let's say you guys really want to do something creative, but maybe there's something going on with self-worth, or again, sometimes that fifth house, because it's the sun, it could also be connected to the father as well. So that Leo energy, the fifth house energy, the sun energy can be connected to the father. So it's like maybe there's something going on here where there is some sort of betrayal from the father in terms of you guys expressing your creativity or expressing your inner child. And then you guys kind of betray yourselves in situations when it comes to expressing this. For example, again, maybe you guys say you will, or you want to, or you sign up for a class and then you guys don't go, or you guys distract yourselves, you find something else to do. So I'm sure you guys get the idea here, but these are a few ways that this energy can manifest for those of you who have Scorpio occupying the fifth house. If you have Scorpio occupying the sixth house deals with health, healing, and being of service. This could also resonate for those of you who have Pluto in the sixth house as well. So the area of life where you guys may experience quote unquote betrayal in could be the area of health, healing, and being of service. So for example, it could be someone who is a service provider. It could be, let's say, your colleague, for example. It could be an acquaintance. You guys could experience betrayal from these people. Or for example, it could be at work specifically. So let's say you guys work in the corporate structure. Maybe you guys experience betrayal from one of the other associates or one of the other colleagues that you guys are working with. Maybe it's for a position, for example. Maybe they throw you guys under the bus. Maybe you guys thought these people were your friends. So it could manifest in this way, this energy. Now, in this video, I've also been talking about self-betrayal as well. So maybe there's something to do here with like betraying yourselves when it comes to work, or like the type of work you guys want to do. Maybe you guys say you're going to do something and then you guys don't apply, let's say, for that job, or you take another job when that's not something that you guys really wanted to do. So I'm sure you guys get the idea here, but these are a few ways that this energy could manifest in terms of who could betray you guys, or the area where you guys might get betrayed if you guys have Scorpio or Pluto occupying the sixth house. If you have Scorpio occupying the seventh house, or Pluto in the seventh house, or even if you are a Scorpio Venus, well, in this particular case, the area where you guys may experience betrayal is going to be in the area of relationships. Unfortunately, it's going to be in the area of relationships, friendships, lovers, business partners, all of these individuals, you guys may experience some sort of betrayal through these people. Now, here is the thing. The question always is, what is betrayal? Because for the Scorpionic energy, sometimes they feel betrayed. Let's say if someone, like, let's say doesn't tell them something that they're going to do, and it's like maybe that was supposed to be private for the other person, but Scorpio wants to know everything. Do you know what I mean? So it's like betrayal can be on a range. Of course, it doesn't have to be an extreme type of betrayal, but it could be something of this sort as well, where it's like maybe to the other person you guys are involved with, they don't see it as a betrayal, but you guys might see it as a betrayal, for example, or like you guys, you know, tell each other everything, and then maybe they didn't want to tell you guys, let's say that, you know, they were applying for a job because let's say they didn't want to jinx it. Like, this is just kind of like a random example, just so you guys can kind of get the idea here. And like, again, maybe they were keeping it private until it came into fruition, and then they tell you guys when they get the job. I mean, Scorpio does this already anyways, so it could be you guys to other people as well, by the way. Like, you guys could be the ones betraying other people too. Anyways, that's not today's video, because the energy in a chart can either be people towards you or you toward people. But anyways, I digress. So let's say they don't tell you this, like, you guys might experience this also as a type of betrayal. Do you see what I mean? So it's like, the question always is for Scorpio energy, like, what is betrayal is really what it is. Because of course there's the extreme versions of betrayal, yes, where it's like the person outed you, you trusted this person, like that is there. But then there's also these other micro types of betrayal moments where it's like, again, the other person doesn't see it as a betrayal, you guys might see it as a betrayal. So it depends, because for you guys, it's literally in the area of friendship and lovers and partners and basically all interpersonal relationships. So it could be a struggle for you guys to be in these dynamics because of the fear of betrayal, for example. But sometimes I think to myself and I'm like, is betrayal inevitable at the end of the day? So anyways, that's just a question to ponder upon and think about. But this is the area for you guys where you guys might experience betrayal. It's in the area of, once again, friendships, partnerships, interpersonal partnerships, business partnerships, romantic partnerships, all of these potential individuals. So these are a few things that can take place for those of you who have Scorpio in the 7th, Pluto in the 7th, or even a Scorpio Venus. If you have Scorpio occupying the 8th house or Pluto in the 8th house, the area where you guys may potentially experience betrayal in could be 8th house types of things. So this is sex, death, rebirth, joint finances, taxes, and the occult. So you guys could potentially experience betrayal through a spouse here. Now, obviously, it's not going to be everybody, so no need to go into a fear energy. This is a general video at the end of the day. And, you know, it always depends on the rest of the energies in the natal chart and the aspects and also the transits. So just take it with a grain of salt. But yes, it could be a spouse. It could be an intimate partner. So definitely be careful when it comes to intimate partners, because there could definitely be some form of betrayal energy taking place here. Also with the 8th house, it could, let's say, be an astrologer, or it could, let's say, be a metaphysical practitioner or an occult practitioner. Let's say there's some sort of betrayal that takes place here. Like, let's say you guys go to someone and you're like, I want to do this love spell. And then let's say the person, quote unquote, betrays you by telling the person that you want the love spell about that you're doing a love spell on them. There it is. There's the betrayal. Again, I'm not trying to speak this into existence for anybody. I'm kind of giving you guys random examples here so you guys can kind of get the idea of how the energy could play out. So it could be this. Now, also the 8th house deals with other people's finances. So for example, the quote unquote betrayal here could be through an investor. So for example, let's say this manifests into you guys are working on a project and you guys need an investor, and like, for example, they invest in your project, but maybe they actually don't have sufficient funds. There is the betrayal energy there. Or, you know, this could be, let's say someone sells somebody a business, okay, or something of the sort. And like, let's say they sold the business because they knew that the business wasn't doing well, but let's say you saw this as a window of opportunity to maybe, you know, progress the business, or maybe you were really excited, maybe you always wanted to have this type of business, but it's like, there's the betrayal, okay? They quote unquote betrayed you because it's like maybe they weren't honest or something of the sort, that, you know, this maybe wasn't going to be the best business decision. So random examples, I mean, not everyone who has Scorpio in the 8th or Pluto in the 8th is going to have these types of experiences, but I'm giving you guys kind of random examples here so you can see how the energy could potentially manifest in terms of the quote unquote betrayal that could take place here. So these are a few things that can take place for those of you who have Scorpio in the 8th or Pluto in the 8th house. If you have Scorpio occupying the 9th house or Pluto in the 9th house, the area where you guys may experience quote unquote betrayal in could be in the area of, let's say, teachers. So for example, it could be like higher minded teachers, like let's say your PhD teacher or professor, or let's say masters or bachelors, like it could be these individuals. Or for example, it could be, let's say, a spiritual teacher or a guru, or let's say it is a travel agent, for example. I could see this manifesting this way as well. Actually, recently I saw a story that popped up on one of my feeds, and basically it was this person who was posing to be a travel agent, and they scammed all these people out of all of this money because like they weren't actually doing the bookings or something of this sort. They were just kind of taking the money for themselves, and it was something of the sort that ended up taking place. So that's how this energy could play out as well. Obviously, it's not going to be for every single person who has Scorpio in the 9th house and Pluto in the 9th house. There's so many people in the world, of course, but just keep this in mind that it could be, let's say, a travel agent, or maybe when you guys are traveling, for example, you could experience some sort of betrayal as well. I'm kind of giving you guys like a range of betrayals. Obviously, there's extreme versions of betrayals, but there's also sometimes, let's say the betrayal, let's say someone who's a scammer or something of the sort. So for example, let's say you go to a country and you take the taxi there. Maybe the taxi ride is like 5 minutes and it's supposed to be, let's say, $10. And, you know, the person scams you. They just like drive around in like circles and circles, and then they end up charging you, let's say, $100. This could be a form of betrayal that takes place here. So I'm sure you guys get the idea here, and keep in mind, it could also be spiritual teachers, like anyone in the spiritual world, gurus as well. I can see this manifesting into just like those people online, you know, who kind of like claim like they have all the answers, and, you know, let's say they're going to teach you how to make all this money and so on and so forth, and like they potentially scam you. It could be this, or just like a spiritual retreat that ends up being a scam. Or let's say, you know, you guys needed maybe a reference from your bachelor's to your master's, and then you go to your professor, and then maybe the professor says that they'll do it for you, and then, you know, maybe they can only do it for one person. Like let's say that's like a random rule that exists, and, you know, they end up doing it for your friend, and then you feel betrayed. Do you know what I mean? So I'm sure you guys get the idea here, but it's basically any of these people that are 9th house types of people where you guys could experience this betrayal. So these are a few things that can take place for those of you who have Scorpio occupying the 9th house. If you have Scorpio occupying the 10th house, or if you have Pluto in the 10th house, the area where you guys may experience betrayal could be connected to your career. It could be connected to your work. It could be even connected to, let's say, status, you know, maybe finances, because finances could be connected to status and work as well. Maybe it could be your colleagues. Maybe it could be someone who promises you guys, you know, this great career, this great job. Maybe somebody throws you guys under the bus. Let's say you guys are climbing that corporate ladder, because the higher up you go, the more dog eat dog it gets out there in those streets. So it could be something of this sort as well. So keep this in mind. Obviously, this isn't going to be the case for absolutely everybody who has this energy in their natal chart, because it depends on the rest of the energies. It depends on the aspects. It depends on the chart as a whole, but I'm kind of giving you guys the overall idea here where you guys may experience betrayal. So to kind of keep your eyes open when it comes to this area, because again, especially if it is in the corporate structure or in general, and like the higher up you go, the more you climb that ladder, whether it's, you know, in the corporate world or just like those echelons within society overall, it's like it will definitely get more snaky the higher up you go. So just keep this in mind, because there could be a lot of potential backstabbing. There could be a lot of betraying. Now, another way this energy could also manifest could be through the father. The 10th house can also be the father. So there could be a betrayal here connected to the father. And then in turn, also masculines in your life. The betrayal could also be through, let's say, authoritative figures. It could be through, let's say, teachers as well, mentors. So just keep this in mind. Obviously, it's not going to manifest for every single person in this way, but just keep this in mind. It's one of those energies where it's like you kind of want to watch out for these people and like maybe what you're sharing with them and how much do you believe them, how much do you trust them. But obviously at the same time, you don't want to live life in fear either and be in a paranoia energy either. But these are a few ways that this energy could manifest. So these are a few things that can take place for those of you who have Scorpio or Pluto occupying the 10th house. If you have Scorpio or Pluto occupying the 11th house, the area where you guys may experience betrayal could be in the area of, let's say, philanthropy, humanitarianism, social activism. For example, like I could see this manifesting into, you know, those stories of like those activists back in the day, and like maybe they trusted someone, but then that person like could have, let's say, leaked their location, and unfortunately like that person ended up being taken out because of, let's say, like the person who was within the inner circle who, like, let's say, leaked their location or something of this sort. Now obviously that's not going to be everybody, you know, I'm not trying to speak that into existence for you guys. I'm just kind of giving you guys like the random example of how this energy could manifest. So it could be in this area of, let's say, social activism, philanthropy, humanitarianism. The 11th house also deals with friends, but like the way that I see the friendship energy with the 11th house always is that it's the higher minded friendship. So it's like people coming together for some sort of higher mission or higher cause. It could be community as well. So again, you know, within these circles, there could be that potential Judas character, you know what I mean? Like the person who could potentially out you guys or betray you guys within these circles. Like, for example, I could literally see this manifesting into maybe a group forms where it's like, again, an activist type of group, or again, you guys want to help a certain type of demographic. And it's like maybe someone within the group is the person, again, that could be leaking information. Doesn't have to be as extreme as the first example that I gave you guys. Maybe there is some sort of nefarious individual in this group that has their own interests, is really what it is. I mean, you guys would be surprised, you know, sometimes how easily people can be bought. Obviously, it's not going to be everybody, but you know, it does take place. I mean, it just is the way that it is down here on this earth plane. So it could manifest in this way. Again, obviously not for everybody. You know, this is a general video at the end of the day, just kind of giving ideas out there and like random examples so you guys can understand how it can manifest. And again, it depends on the whole chart and everything else that's taking place in there. This energy I could also see manifesting into like people that you guys work with or let's say market to, for example. The example that I'm seeing psychically here is actually Selena Quintanilla, and she had that Yolanda lady who was originally her fan. That's like very much 11th house energy. And then she kind of got into the circle, and then she was like managing the fan base, but then she ended up being like, again, the Judas character here in the story, where not only did she betray Selena because she was allegedly stealing the money from the fan base, but also the story ended the way that it did, unfortunately, for Selena. So this is what I mean. You guys have to keep those eyes open, okay, in general in life. But yes, this is one of the ways that this energy could manifest for that 11th house energy. So again, it could be people within the community. It could be, you know, people that, you know, maybe once were a fan of your work and now are within the inner circle. Or again, it could overall be philanthropists, humanitarian people, like social activists. Like maybe you guys work with these people and then they betray you in one way, shape, or form. So I'm sure you guys get the idea here. I mean, the 11th house can deal with the internet as well, and like startups and tech and math and science, like all of these things. So anybody who is in this realm, maybe you guys work with these people in one way, shape, or form, could potentially be the person who is involved in the betrayal here, okay? So these are a few ways that this energy can manifest for those of you who have Scorpio occupying the 11th house or Pluto in the 11th house. If you have Scorpio occupying the 12th house or Pluto in the 12th house, the individual here that could potentially betray you guys could actually be the subconscious. That's what's really, really interesting here. So for a few of the placements in the earlier part of the video here, the example I gave was a lot of the time people might betray themselves. For example, the self-betrayal can come from you guys wanting to do something and then you guys don't execute that thing. You guys don't end up doing it. Or it could be rooted in like a trauma or a fear. So when you guys have Scorpio occupying the 12th or even like Pluto in the 12th, there's a lot here that needs to be cleared in terms of the subconscious and unconscious. It might not even be connected to this lifetime because the subconscious or the unconscious is kind of carried over from a previous lifetime. So there could be fears here, there could be worries, there could be paranoia. So you guys are gonna have to explore as to what those fears and those worries could be, because at the same time, you guys could be super intuitive and psychic. But the example that I was giving here earlier as well was like, Scorpio is psychic, yes. But the thing is, if you're not operating out of the heart chakra and above, you might project onto those gut feelings. I hope that makes sense. So for example, in a situation like, you know, in the subconscious, there could be the subconscious fear of abandonment or fear of betrayal in general, or anything of the sort, where it's like you guys might feel like something is off in a situation and then you guys might project this fear, let's say, onto the person or onto the situation. So this is what I mean, where it's like the subconscious might be the betrayal energy here, because it's like, again, it might not be coming from the heart space, what it is that you guys are picking up on. It could be a fear or a wound or something of the sort that is, again, connected to the lower 3 chakras. And of course, you guys are going to have to explore to see what that potentially could be. But yes, so the energy here of betrayal could be connected to the subconscious. Now, in terms of people, it could be spiritual people, it could be metaphysical people, it could be people that you guys don't necessarily see clearly or you see through a rose-colored lens. These people could also kind of come through and you could experience this betrayal from them. But in terms of spiritual people, I mean, betrayal honestly is on a huge range. Yes, we have the extreme versions of betrayal, like that's there, but sometimes a betrayal could be, let's say, a scammer or someone who is dishonest, for example, like someone who tries to play you guys. For example, within the psychic world, there's always scams. I mean, there's always scams in this world, unfortunately, but within the psychic world, you know, sometimes there's psychics who are con artists or they're scammers and they're gonna say something to you. This is a common one. I mean, back in the day, at least, I'm sure these days, maybe people are doing different things, but back in the day, a big scam that people used to do, what they would say is if you go to them, they'll tell you something about maybe a family member, and it's like, then they'll tell you and they'll be like, oh, you can't tell anybody this, especially if they can like kind of pick up that you're fear-based or something of that sort. They'll be like, you can't tell anybody this, or like it'll come true, or you have to buy this candle. They're always going to tell you about buying a candle, and usually that candle, I mean, back in the day, I don't know now, so they would be like, you have to buy this candle, and the candle is $1,000, and you can't tell anybody, like they have to burn the candle for you to make this thing not end up happening or coming into fruition. Now keep in mind, like this is the biggest thing when it comes to spells, and I feel like a lot of people don't understand this because people still buy spells, especially like online these days and all of these things. Like spells only work to a certain extent. Like you can't really fully interfere with another person's free will or even like another person's fate. So like this person in the story who's like trying to get you to buy the $1,000 candle, there's nothing really that they can do, even if they did pick up on something, which they probably didn't. They're just trying to put in fear. This is the biggest thing. This is kind of like how these scammers in general, especially when it comes to like the psychic world and the metaphysical world, they act like they know something that maybe you guys don't know, and then they like kind of, you know, take advantage of the fear that you guys might have to either take a lot of money from you or get you to buy something from them. And it's always something like this where they tell you like, oh, don't tell the other person or something of that sort. Maybe there's different versions of this today, but like that's the overall idea here. It could be a spiritual person that you guys experience this betrayal through, or it could be, again, a metaphysical practitioner, or in general, it could be a creative person, someone who's in the creative field, like let's say, you know, a creative director or like a filmmaker or something of that sort. Like it could manifest in this realm as well. So I'm sure you guys get the idea here. So these are a few things that could take place for those of you who have Scorpio or Pluto occupying the 12th house. So my dear friends, I'm going to wrap up this video here on who you guys might experience betrayal from, or where the area of life where you guys might experience betrayal based on Scorpio in your natal chart. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day.